Hello, my ghouls, and welcome back to the Ghoul Community Spotlight. If you're new here, I'm Katie Culpa. I generally do a Haunted Saskatchewan series here on my YouTube channel where I go around to Saskatchewan locations and look for, experiences, paranormal activity, and kind of talk about the history of the location to learn more about who the ghosts actually are and why they might be haunting the location. This Ghoul Community Spotlight is something I just recently started up, and it's more to focus on my Ghoul community. I have a KDK Ghoul community. We have a Discord channel where we meet up and talk about paranormal experiences, paranormal investigations. We also have a horror book club and a horror thriller writing club. So these spotlights are about someone from the community, especially if they have something they want to talk about. And I try to do these at least once a month. So tonight we're going to be talking to someone that's also local here in Regina, like myself. And he is a travel blogger and amateur historian. And he's also done a lot of traveling around the world to places like Chernobyl, Hiroshima, the island of dolls. And he's going to be kind of talking tonight about some of his places he's been to, and maybe we'll talk about some of the paranormal side of things to see if he's find any hauntings, because he kind of focuses on more of the spookier side of things. So his name is Kenton, and I met Kenton kind of shortly after I started looking at the Haunted Saskatchewan series, because he's actually also the one that kind of instigated the tours of the Regina Cemetery. He also is the person that created the Regina Cemetery game that I've talked about in my previous video about the Regina Cemetery. So I'm super excited to have him joining me today. All right, so thanks for joining me tonight in our second kind of video of this Ghoul Spotlight for the community. And I guess we could start with, tell me about yourself a little bit. So what brought you into kind of, because you have a few different worlds you're kind of involved in, so.
Yes, I am involved in a lot of stuff. Um, Sometimes I wonder how people even find me because it's like, oh, you found me through that? Oh, okay, I guess so.
Yeah, because you do the
Uh,
travel blogging thing too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So would that be your primary interest, is the travel blogging?
Well, it used to be, right? I used to, want that to be my career, right? And like do that for a living. But then I realized that I'm not very good with like sales. And like all that stuff that comes with it, like I like just doing the content, so it's my main passion, but it's not like the biggest money maker. It's like just the
Yeah.
thing I enjoy the most, right? uh but that's what people mostly know me for, is for the travel blog, and they know it's like, oh well, he did this, he did that. I'm like, yeah. um so the travel blog is my big thing. Then there's the cemetery tours, right?
Right.
um that I do as well, and that kind of came out of the travel blog, as did the game about the cemetery. Um, but everything kind of does have like that kind of ghoulish paranormal aspect to it. So the travel blog, I go to some spooky places, right? I've worked with paranormal investigators. Now I also have the Unsolved Canadian Mysteries podcast I do with my buddy Dylan.
Oh,
So all the kind of ties back to the blog, but
right.
they're all different.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, hey? So do you have like a favorite place that you've gone to with the travel blog?
Oh man, everybody asks, and it's tough to say. It's so different, right? So like 2016, I went to Chernobyl, right? And that was amazing. And like just to go to Ukraine and see everything, and like of course Ukraine's in the news now, but like back then Ukraine was still at war. You'd still see the military walking around, you still see the checkpoints, right? Uh, so to see it, like to see Chernobyl and see the remnants of like communism and the USSR and all that, that was really interesting because you don't see that from the West, right? You kind of have that,
Yeah.
still that mental divide between the East and the West. So that was amazing. Uh, I really enjoyed going to Philadelphia. I didn't think I would. When I won a trip to Philadelphia, I'm like, oh, that's well, okay. Like, what's in Philly that I want to go check out? But Philly was actually really cool because they have the Eastern State Penitentiary. So
Oh,
they
okay.
have like where they did like the first types of solitary confinement in America and the new types of prison system. So that was amazing. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that Philly was actually so cool. And of course, like that's where they film stuff like The Sixth Sense and a lot of spooky shows, right? Um, Trying to think where else. Like, I've gone to a lot of haunted places. I went down to a couple in Mexico. I did a cemetery tour in Lima, Peru. So a whole bunch, right? So it's tough
Yeah.
to say which is my favorite. I just got back from Peru a couple months ago, so we'll say that one because I just got back.
Because
That
you
was
just
my
got back
last
from
one.
it.
Yeah, so we'll
The
just say
most
that
recent
one.
memories.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So I guess so something like Chernobyl, did you do kind of the paranormal investigation side of it, or was it more just like touring and because you said you sometimes work with the paranormal investigators, right? So
Yeah. That one, so there wasn't like we did have some electronics on us, but that was mostly just to monitor the radiation levels, right?
right.
Because that was
Yeah.
a concern. Um, but we did end up going at one point to the hospital in Chernobyl, in Pripyat, I should say. And probably like I've been always all these spooky places. We might talk about this, but like I've never experienced a ghost or like a haunting or any kind of tangible proof that something is beyond our realm of existence. But when I was at the hospital, we separated from the group. I did from the group just to walk through the halls of the hospital myself. I was looking for places to take pictures and stuff,
Right.
but we didn't have enough Geiger counters for everybody. So I was out just by myself, and I was walking, and I remember, hearing the voices from the group kind of disappear into the building, and I'm walking through this like abandoned, dilapidated, rotting hospital, right?
Hmm.
And seeing all these windows with the grass and the trees kind of growing in and all the vials on the shelves and the beds all torn apart, right? And I got to this one part where ahead of me was this dark hallway, right? And I looked at it and thought, I really don't want to go in there. And like I had walked like already through the hospital. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stop here. I don't know what's through that hallway, and I don't think I want to know. And that's like the only time I was like, I've ever been like, I am worried about what might be on the other side of that hallway.
Oh, that
I
is
didn't have. I don't know if it was like my body's like, hey, there's radiation here. You should be worried or paranoid or something. Or maybe it was the environment. Maybe it was the quiet because there's no vehicles, there's no people, right? Could
yeah.
have been anything. I don't know, but it was like that's the only time. And I'm like, if there's a haunted hospital, it's definitely the hospital in Chernobyl.
Yeah.
That's a hands down. That
Yeah.
one's probably haunted.
The one place you felt like, okay, there might be something more here.
Draw the line here.
Yeah.
All right, you can keep your secrets, hallway. I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Oh, that's kind of funny. So even with all of your Regina Cemetery tours, you've never had any sort of experiences at all?
No.
No?
Like on paper, I'm supposed to say the cemetery is not haunted, right?
Right.
But there's people who say they've seen things, some pictures that are questionable. Is that a face in the bushes or not? And you hear stories, right? But I myself
Mhm.
never experienced it. And I go there all the time, and I'm there in the daytime, and there in the nighttime, like nothing, right?
Yeah.
Um, I wish I could say it was with the accuracy, but a couple years ago, we had some investigators come in and do a little circuit, and they said they got some voices and stuff, but it's hard to tell, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, I don't know. Like if I were to come back and haunt a place, I can't say I'd want to go to a cemetery. I can't say that would be my first
That's
choice.
it. That's it. Unless someone's buried alive, I don't see them usually hanging around those places.
Yeah. I think they would have much better places to go if they really wanted to be around. Yeah, I know. Uh, well, because you saw I put up that YouTube channel about the Regina Cemetery, and one of the comments I did get back was they were sure that it was haunted, but they were in a building across the street
Yes.
and had like the censored doors opening randomly when no one was there. And I kind of, well, that's not necessarily the cemetery that's doing that though.
So I have heard. So like there's the Regina Cemetery, and then in the corner of it is the Beth Jacobs Jewish Cemetery, which is
Right,
private property.
right.
And I have heard that the car lot across the street and the cars on the parking lot near it, they do often their alarms go off for no reason.
Oh, really?
Um, I've heard a few people say that. So, like that's not Regina Cemetery, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know as much about the Beth Jacobs Jewish Cemetery, but is a different vibe in there, and that could be, might be something in there. But Judaism is a section I know very little about, so I don't want to speculate at all about what it could be,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've never been in that part of it either. So that would be interesting.
It's
So,
different.
okay.
It's different.
Yeah. So I guess what was your experience with the paranormal investigators that you have worked with?
So I worked with Past a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
We Yes, like Corey and Allison and Matt and some of them way back in the day. We investigated Boards and Beans. It's closed now, but it was 11th Avenue and something downtown.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I think it was like near a Chinese like restaurant. It was like a board coffee cafe, a board gaming coffee cafe place.
Mm-hmm.
And they said like they had paranormal activity, that there was a spirit in the hallway. There was shadow people like walking up between the games, so where they would see him kind of walk in and never come around the corner. Um, and then they had the one piece of footage where I think she was, can't might get this wrong, right? I think someone was working and they had opened the dishwasher or something and they turned away and something either flew out of it or fell off of it or something that doesn't make sense. And they caught that on footage. So that was like, that's enough. Okay, we're gonna go investigate with Past. And we went in there and we got the devices. We got up like the cameras, like the night vision cameras. We got the spirit boxes. We got all those things out. And we probably spent, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours there. I think we were there from maybe 10 until 2 or something like that, 10 till 3. Like it was overnight. I was so tired the next
I'll
day.
believe it.
It was so tired. Uh, and they got some stuff, right? But you see things on TV where like they get like, oh, this perfect picture of a ghost or something really convincing, right? I wouldn't say we got anything too convincing, but I know afterwards they reviewed all the footage and they had a screening with the owners and they were convinced. I didn't see the screening, so I don't know. Maybe there was something else.
Something more.
But I was sitting there, I didn't experience much. There was the odd voice, but I mean, you're right below a hotel, right? The Holiday Inn is right there.
Oh,
So it could have been anything, right?
yeah. Yeah, those are always harder. That's
If
true.
it's like an abandoned building in the middle of the woods, great. Like,
Yeah.
no problem out there with electricity or people or noise. But if you're right downtown, right underneath the hotel, it could be anything, right?
Anything. Someone walking by, someone, yeah, it's harder then.
hmm
Yeah, that's true. So I guess what uh got you interested in the spookier places of Regina and of around the world?
When I graduated high school, I went to Europe just to, try to find my way in the world, right, as people do. And when I came back, I wanted to start up a blog and talk about my trip. So I started writing about like uh, France and England and Italy and all these things, all these places I went to. But nobody really was reading it. No one really
Mhm.
cared, right? Because everyone goes to Eiffel Tower, right? Everyone
Yeah.
goes to Big Ben or the Coliseum, right? So like I know that I had a platform, right, and some followers. So hey, you know what? How about I write about something I can do much easier and write about Regina? And
Hmm.
that's when the Regina stuff started. And then I just have always liked the spooky stuff. And it just kind of crept in over the years. Like, oh, here's like a spooky cemetery. Here's a spooky building. Here's some dark history. Here's the dead baby museum they have in Regina, or here's this kind of thing in Regina. And over time, that's kind of built up. So like I did a thing a couple years ago. I went out to Kingston, and because apparently it's the most haunted city in Canada, so I wanted to see it. So I arranged a thing with Tourism Kingston. Went out to Kingston, spent a couple of days out there, see what I could find. It's kind of just come over the years, maybe one or two pieces a year or something like that. And now it's people know me as a spooky guy who does a travel blog. I'm like, well, it could be worse things, I guess.
Is that ever funny how yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, if you build up the content, eventually people do find it. And they might not
hmm
find it as you're making it, but they'll eventually find it. But yeah, I know what you mean. I attempted doing the travel blogging thing. Oh God. I lived in Australia for a year, so I think that was when I tried to start. But I was the same issues. No one really cared about it because it was just Australia. And, the common places that people go, it wasn't anything unique about it.
It's hard because like if it's like really niche, no one's gonna read it, and if it's really broad, like Australia or France or whatever, then no one's gonna read it either because you're competing with everybody with that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So something like local, like Regina or Saskatoon or Moose Jaw, something like near you, people will cling on to because it's like, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know where that is. I didn't know that. I want to share this. I find that's often the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. And so you had done some work too with like the Regina history group or something too at one point, right? So what kind of got you
Yeah.
into that?
I was with Heritage Regina, way back, 2017, I think it was. Um, so I went on a Heritage Regina walking tour that summer,
Mm-hmm.
and they do these great summer walking tours. They take you around different parts of the city, talk about local history. Then that one I went on was a walking tour of Germantown, which is kind of like Regina's like Chinese town, but it was originally Germanic immigrants.
Oh, okay.
So like downtown is a discount off the side. Now it has all those like signs with Chinese lettering on it and Chinese like restaurants, but it was originally Eastern European Germanic neighborhood.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Um, yeah, a lot of people don't, and it's kind of like it's right beside downtown. People just kind of skip over. I'm like, this is a really cool area. Like, check it out. But that's why I went on the walk because I also didn't know anything about Germantown other than the fact it was like an old neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So I went on the walk and I really enjoyed it. And I got talking to some lady at the end of it, and she said how she used to do tours of the cemetery and there's old guidebooks. And I'm like, I, I would love to see these books,
Oh,
local
yeah.
history, why not? So she gave me one of the books, and when I was reading the book, I found out about the Spanish influenza of 1918,
Right.
and there was a part in the cemetery where all these victims were supposed to be buried. And I thought, I know nothing about the Spanish flu. So I decided to learn about it, and I thought, hey, this if this area of the cemetery is empty and there's bodies here, there should be a headstone for them. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do that, right? I wanted to do that somehow. So I thought, oh, I'll take these books and make them into a tour, and money from the tour will go towards a headstone. This will work.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the city wasn't too keen on that. There was lots of bylaws in place, and one of the main concerns they had was about insurance.
Right.
Uh, what if someone, leans against a headstone and it falls and breaks? Is that on me? Is it on them? Is it on the city? Right.
Yeah.
So I ended up going with Heritage Regina to use their insurance because they do walking tours already, and I joined the board of Heritage Regina to as a I'm going to join the board and I can use your insurance and we can do the tours. So that's how I ended up with Heritage Regina, and I was with them for I think 2 years, just for 2017 and 2018. It's not too long, but for a couple years.
Yeah. Oh, wow. No, that's really interesting. And then was COVID the reason why you turned into the game, or how did the game come into it?
So sort of. So we did the walking tours in 2018 or 2017, and we were able to raise the money through crowdfunding, through the tours, through donations from businesses as well. And we were able to make money for the monument, and we put the monument up in December of 2017. And then 2018 started up, and the tours went again, and they were very popular. But I wanted the money to go towards a different cause. I wanted to go towards fixing up the cemetery because the cemetery is falling apart.
Yeah.
So I was kind of disappointed on that Heritage Regina's keeping the money. And why not? They do 12 other tours in the summer. They keep the money for those tours. Why not for this tour as well, right? But I thought, if I'm putting all the effort into it, I'd rather the money go towards a cause that I support. Like I support Heritage Regina, but I'd rather, my tour, my money should go towards something that I'm passionate about, right? Which would be
Yeah.
the cemetery. So I left Heritage Regina to try and do the tours on my own, and then they canceled the tours altogether, and I wasn't allowed to do them. So
Oh,
I was like, okay, now I have all this content and no way to share the stories, so I'll make a video game about it, and that's what gave birth to the game. Really close to COVID. I think we launched it in the fall of 2019, and then COVID happened in the spring or in
oh,
March.
yeah.
So there's like a 6 months period there, and everyone thinks they're the same, but no, it just happened to work out that way that we couldn't do the tours, and then no one could do anything.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
isn't that fun? Hey. Well, I mean, I did do the game, and I thought it was really fun.
Did you beat it?
I'm trying to remember. No, I think I didn't in the end. I think I got hit by something or
It's
hit by
okay.
too many things. I can't remember, but I did
It's
a
okay.
lot, a
It's all
lot
right.
of it. I think I had to do it twice, and I think I did a lot of it. But yeah, it was really interesting because I was starting to kind of look at the different, potential haunted locations in Regina, which I'm kind of like you, even though I do have some evidence that I've caught in some of the places, it's not convincing evidence for me yet. And of course, I go
Yes.
during the day, so you don't expect something to happen during the day. But it was interesting to tie some of the stories that you put on there. I was like, oh hey, I've been there, or oh hey, I want to go there next. So that's the supposed ghost that I'm gonna go see, which was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I like the tours and the game because it's like all these little pieces of history that you might know nuggets of over the years. Like, oh, well, that, connects like that, right?
yeah,
So like you'll meet one character in the game and like, oh well, he did this, and then maybe like later in the game, like, oh well, here's the same event and the same guy pops up again. Oh, they knew each other. That's kind of fun. Or they, were competitors or something like that. Oh, they both own hotels at the same time or whatever. The same names and the same locations pop up oftentimes throughout the game because it's all local history.
right, yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, no, I really enjoyed the game part of it, and I think, uh, no, I think that was, oh, that's what brought me into the whole Spanish flu thing too, as well, was from the game. Is when I realized about all the different Spanish flu. I had found some of the books, like the cemetery tour books, which is funny. You have to go to University of Calgary to find them, but they are
Yes.
in University of Calgary's archives. But yeah, I hadn't read about the Spanish flu yet, so that was quite interesting as well. It's quite a big chunk of kind of the Regina history.
Yeah, and it changed a lot with the city, and the fact is, there's not a lot left from it. Like the churches are still here, the schools that they used for the hospitals have all been torn down. Anything that having to do with it besides the churches is gone. I think as a hospital, I get if you don't know about it, if you didn't know about it, there's no way to know. There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love talking about the Spanish flu. I could talk about it for 40 minutes, the
Oh,
whole
really?
whole recording.
Well, it is a big like part of Regina history, and it impacted it quite a bit. I guess the tornado sort of did, but not to the extent that the Spanish flu did, because the tornado wrecked buildings, but it didn't have as many deaths from it.
No. And we talk like when I do my cemetery tours now, still like these days. And we visit some of the cyclone tornado victims.
Right.
Um and on paper it's 28 people, right? But on my tour I talk about up to 32 victims. I kind of mentioned some of the names and who they were. But even 32, that's only 10% of Regina's Spanish flu deaths. Like we had 330 people lost and 3,000 sick. Like that was 10% of the city's population was sick from this thing. So the cyclone, of course, gets all the coverage because it's this big, dramatic environmental thing. But the Spanish flu did way more damage to the city and the people who lived here than the cyclone did.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. So I guess if you've done all this history kind of on Regina, do you have like a favorite building in Regina from all of
Hmm.
your different tours and things?
Hmm. Trying to think of favorite buildings. I would say, okay, I will say my most disappointed building, and then I'll say my most favorite building. So my most disappointed building is the old was it Northwest Territorial Administration building, like
Okay.
on the west end, because that building like was the original capital of like Northwest Territories after it moved here from the Battleford's, right?
Yep.
And it has so much potential. Like it's not only like a historical site, it was used for like it was the capital building was the legislative assembly before we had the ledge, right? Before the city kind of changed around. It has so much history there, and for the longest time, it was sitting there empty. They weren't doing anything with it.
Oh,
You couldn't go. There wasn't a museum. There wasn't a display. There was a plaque outside of it, but it's like if you could drive right past it, it's just some boring brick building on the road. Like you wouldn't
wouldn't
even
even
know what
know
it
about it.
is.
Oh no.
So like now it's used, but I think it's used by I don't want to say if, I won't put them down. It's someone I don't know. It's like some nonprofit or small company. It's not like being used in my opinion. to its biggest extent. But I'm glad it's being used. I'm happy
Yeah.
it's active and maintained, but it could be so much more, in my opinion. That's the most disappointed building in the city. But my favorite one, which is what you asked, man, that's tough. I want to say Dark Hall because Dark Hall was really cool and they put all the money into it and renovated it, but I haven't seen it now since they did that. So I don't want to say Dark Hall, although Dark Hall is up there. Um, like the Saskatchewan Legislative Assembly, I
Oh
think
yeah.
there's a lot more there than people realize. Like the architecture itself, of course, is amazing, right? And the different like 17 types of marble they use in it. That they have the green ones, they have the white ones, they have the red ones, and the carvings are really cool. I wish it was more accessible. Like I wish you could go up and see the carvings, or you go on the roof and walk around the dome, or the tours were a little more immersive, other than just oh here's a library, here's a gallery, and now you're done.
Yeah.
Um, like the tours in Manitoba on their legislative assembly, just very similar. They're amazing. The tours are absolutely incredible. Frank Albo is an amazing tour guide, and he's so passionate. The ones they have here, they're passionate about because they work there, right?
Yeah.
So they're good, but they're not as good. But the building itself is just amazing, and I feel uh, it like just walking into it, you just feel a sense of awe, right? That
Right.
openness, the stonework, the marble, the engravings, the paintings, amazing. So that's probably my favorite buildings. Although I wish I could just get more into it, than just
Yeah.
those 3 or 4 rooms that they take you to.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think I did a tour there once, but it was a long time ago.
The,
And yeah,
the
you don't get to
tours
see
are
a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah. The tour is okay. I mean,
Yeah.
for a free tour, it's fine. But I'm like, there's so much more in this building. If you just let me go, let me go
Yeah.
explore.
Go looking through it, hey? Is there a building that other than of course the back rooms of the legislative building, is another building that you haven't been able to tour yet that's kind of on your bucket list?
Hmm. So I learned there's two. So I learned the Royal Sketching Museum has like an archives building in the city somewhere, and
Really?
I'm sure because they have so much overflow of so much stuff at the
Right.
museum. Um, and I don't know where it is. Although people have told me where it is, I cannot. I want to find the archives. I just want to because it'd be all the stuff you don't see in the museum, right?
Right.
Just to walk around and see that stuff. I would love to see it. The other one, and it's a rumor, but I was told by a pretty good source, so I believe it. So on Scar Street, there's the Scar Street Mall right on both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day, there were tunnels underneath used during Prohibition.
Oh,
And I've heard this rumor for years, and I'm like, oh, that's just because they want to be like Moose Jaw, right? They have tunnels. We,
yeah.
we should have tunnels too, right? But a couple years ago, I got to see part of the tunnel,
Oh, no
and
way.
I got to go in a back room where they had when they built the Twin Towers way back in the day. They sealed it off, and you had some of those old rooms, offices, bathrooms, and a stairwell that was cut off by the new construction. And I'm like, okay, so there is something here. And then
Yeah.
I was told the other day, a few months ago, that there's a stairwell that goes underground underneath Scar Street. I'm like, so it's not just a rumor; it's an actual tunnel system.
Oh,
So I want to see it because I want to verify the claim, right? But I haven't been able to get down there yet.
oh, that would be very cool. Yeah, and it's funny because Regina and Moose Jaw seem to have had this kind of competing thing, right, for so
Yeah.
long. I was even looking at some old Moose Jaw newspapers from like the 19, I want to say the 1920s. And even then they were talking about, oh, we can't let Regina have the big hotel. So then that's when they got the Grant Hotel,
Oh
Grant
yeah.
Hall Hotel. So I was like, oh, this has been competing for a lot of years.
Oh yes.
So yeah, they both want the same things and one up each other, which is really funny. Have you done any of the historical tours in Moose Jaw or just stuck close to Regina?
I've done a couple. My girlfriend has done the like a ghost tour out there. Um,
Oh,
and I've done many tours of the Western Development Museum. We were just there last weekend. And I've spoken there too. A couple of presentations. But they told me like there's walking tours of Moose Jaw, and there's the trolley tour, there's the cemetery tour now. I just keep missing all of them. I'm always too busy.
yeah.
No, I haven't done any, but I know of them and they're like on my list and I want to do them. I've heard great things about them.
Yeah, yeah, I saw the trolley thing, but of course I missed it because they even do like a ghost one at night or something, which could be fun.
Hmm.
Yeah. So is there any other location in Saskatchewan that you're hoping to hit or
Um, hmm. I was just in Saskatoon. I want to do some more Saskatoon stuff, right? Of course. There's I'm trying to think of more spooky places, but there just isn't that much left, right? Fort Sand is gone now. The Weber Mental Hospital is gone now. Both of those were awesome places when they existed.
yeah.
Uh, Farmhouses are kind of the big one. You got the occasional dam up in Prince Albert that is worth checking out. Do I have anything in Saskatchewan right now? Not really. But I'm sure I'll find something come winter that I'll be wanting to get to in the summer. So not at the moment, but I'm always looking for something else to check out.
Yeah. No, definitely. I feel like there's lots of hidden gems that just no one talks about.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that would be. I'm sure there's more out there. I just gotta find them. Although I had someone comment saying that they're in one of the oldest houses here in Regina, and they thought for sure it would be haunted, but they said they've had no experiences whatsoever. So I think I feel like hauntings are. I don't know. I feel like you think old building is going to be a haunting, but it's not always the case, right?
You need that trauma or you need that attachment
Yeah, there
to
needs to
make
be
that.
something more than just an old building,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny. I guess, is there anything else that you kind of want to add or talk about? I know you talked a bit about like being in prison cells and
Mm.
doing all that kind of stuff. Is there any of that or anything else you
Well,
might want to add?
actually, because you mentioned prison cells, that actually reminds me of something that I want to do, but I don't think I ever get to do it. Um, so just outside Regina, maybe 45 minutes or so, is the town of Craik.
Mm-hmm.
And in Craik, in their library, it used to be the town hall, right? And
Oh,
in the basement are old RCMP jail cells.
oh, really?
And I've always wanted to like spend the night in those jail cells. I haven't done it, but I'm like I've seen them when I saw them. They had Halloween decorations on them, right? So couldn't do
Right.
it then. But I'm thinking that would be something I want to do, and that answers your question. I couldn't think of it before, but like that would be a cool place to spend the night, because it's an old building, old jail cell, like it has those iron bars that you see like in movies and stuff. So like it's the piece. It's perfect, right? That'd be cool. Because I've been to prisons, like I've been to Eastern State Penitentiary, I've been to Kingston Penitentiary. Those are these big industrial prisons, right? But something
Yes.
like this would just be two jail cells in a basement in a small town underground, right? That would just sounds cool.
Yeah. You're very close. If there is any ghosts in there, you're very close to them.
Can't get away, yeah.
No,
You're
can't get
locked
away.
inside the cell.
They'll be right there. Uh, that's funny. I've never, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I have done a couple prisons. I did one in Australia, and that one was weird because it was a tour, but I felt someone grab my hand because I thought my
Oh,
friend had grabbed my hand
yeah.
while I was standing beside an open jail cell.
Hmm.
And so then I turned around to look at her, but she was 3 feet behind me.
Oh,
And so that was weird.
yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
kind of creepy experience.
I would say that's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, jail cells, I don't know. I don't know. If I would want to go to too many of those. They seem to like me there. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I've had a few experiences like that. I mean, I did grow up in the haunted house, so I have seen ghosts, but
That's
I very
cool.
much believe in them.
I'm like the guys from X-Files. I want to believe.
Yeah.
Like I want to see a ghost. Like if I can just go with them, like, hey, I found one. I've convinced myself. Great, but I feel like because they want me to do that, they're not going to show themselves.
That's
Because I
usually the way it goes, right? As
mhm.
soon as you want to capture something, that's when you don't capture anything, unfortunately. Yeah.
when when I was in Utah a few years ago, I went down to Case Cross, this like haunted location. I don't have time to get into the whole story of it, but it's supposed to be a very haunted location. And I was talking to the guy the son of the owner who owns the property, and he said when he was there once, he saw a big black entity and he spoke to it.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm like, oh, it's crazy. And I'm like, do you feel anything here now? He's like, oh yeah, they're here now. I'm like, are they? because I don't feel anything. I would really like it if they can make themselves known right now because
Yeah.
I'm here.
Oh, speaking of really haunted, have you ever been to the RCMP church?
Yes,
Because
the chapel. Yeah,
supposedly that's really haunted. I've never been.
really.
Supposedly.
When you asked for favorite buildings, I was gonna say that one because it's really cool, but it's like there's bigger ones, there's more fancier
Yeah.
ones than the old chapel. But the chapel's amazing and it has all so many stained glass windows and big pieces of memorials on it for officers. It's really cool. I didn't know it was haunted, but I could see it because it's the oldest building in the city. I could definitely see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, supposedly, I forget who was telling me that, but they said it was quite scary, like haunting, like quite intense, because someone went in there to try and do some sort of interviews or something, and they
Oh,
actually got like too scared and left.
oh.
So I'm like,
If
I don't know, haven't heard anything more about it since then.
no, I've also been told like right there, not that far away, is where the execution site used to be the gallows.
Oh,
That's around there is where Louis Riel was executed and a couple others. So that would be the
that
spot.
might be where it is.
Yeah. That's so like the grounds have changed a bit over the years, right? But when I asked the staff who worked there, like the historians who worked there, they say the gallows were kind of right beside where the churches, where the trees are. And I was also where I think it's in November is when he was executed. It's when the Métis have like a thing for him as well, a little memorial, and they go over there too.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so that is like I don't know if it's for sure, but that's where everyone kind of recognizes a spot of where it was anyway.
Oh, interesting. Well, and I'm a firm believer that ghosts move around. I don't think they stay to one location always. Like,
Oh yeah.
I think that would get pretty boring unless they're just kind of more like what do you call it? More of the, redoing their steps over and over again,
Yep. Yep.
instead of an intelligent
Kind of
haunting.
like an energy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I could see is staying in one place all the time, but if it's actually an intelligent, like will talk to you or move something, those I don't think they stay in one place. I think that'd be pretty boring for them.
Well, they say like Francis Dark, he haunts supposed to haunt Dark Hall, sorry, right?
Yeah.
But he's also supposed to be one of those ghosts we're supposed to be seeing at Boards and Beans. He
Oh,
was the hotel owner of that building back when it was a hotel.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So he was one of the ghosts they apparently saw, a guy with a top hat walking around. So apparently he haunts a couple different places in the city. He just kind of does his circuit, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was just at the Dark Hall a little while ago, and the person I talked to was like, "Yeah, I've had no experiences." I was like, "Oh, okay, moving on." I guess Francis decided to take a break while you guys were renovating. I don't know. Maybe he
Yeah.
doesn't like the new renovations.
So I only have like one story about Dark Hall, but like so I was volunteering there for like a Buddhism thing many years ago, 8 years ago or something like that, right?
Hmm.
I think I was supposed to get there 9:30 in the morning. And I was running a little bit late. And the guy was working behind the stage and he heard me come in and heard me walk around the stage. And he got out to go walk around and introduce himself and show me around, right? And when he came around the curtain to meet with me, I wasn't there. There was nobody there. So he's like, okay. So we went back to the back again. And then I walked in maybe 5 minutes later. I was like, hey, sorry, I'm late. I'm running a little bit late. He's like, oh, I thought you were already here. And I'm like, no.
Oh,
So he thinks he heard a ghost or someone walking around on stage and just thought that was
that
me.
was you.
Yeah. But I wasn't there yet. So
Yeah,
I don't know. Just maybe that was a ghost. Maybe I
maybe.
just missed a ghost, right? I was so close.
Oh. And it's funny because of all the places I've gone to, it seems like a lot of the things happen in the morning.
Mhm.
So I made this comment in the previous interview too. We were talking about it, how you kind of wonder if maybe if we didn't always go at night, like why is the paranormal investigations always at night? It's because it makes it spookier, right, for your audience. But maybe the ghosts aren't as common at that time, and that's why you don't get as many experiences. I don't know.
I imagine there's like a constant flow of paranormal activity, but maybe at night things are quieter. There's less interference and you can pick things up better.
Maybe.
Kind of like how, if there's a cat meowing outside and the whole day you don't really notice it until it's quiet, or
That's
that
true.
kind of thing. That
Yeah.
could be it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I sometimes wonder too if it's dependent on the time of day and what person would have been doing in the building at when they were alive, right? Because I know in like um bushwhackers, a lot of their activity happens early morning, 5, 6, 7 a.m. There was an apparition of a person walking in at 11 a.m., I think they said
Mhm.
it was. So,
Oh,
and that's
that's
when probably people would have been in the building when
yeah.
it was
That's probably
active.
when Jim would have came to work. Yeah, when
Yeah.
James would have came to work. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well,
When I was at Hopkins, we were just walking around because we're on the third floor, so we were getting ready to go. And I was just kind of looking at all the stuff on the walls. It's a pretty cool place, right? And I walked and there was like a stairwell that kind of goes up around to the top stairs, the top
yep.
level or something, right? And I saw a kid looking at me, like a little boy.
Yeah.
And I did a double take and the kid was gone. I'm like, okay, either that was a child who just ran away or it's a ghost.
Yep.
And and like I saw it, but I'm like, I don't want to say it was a ghost because it looked like a kid, right? But I'm
Yeah.
like, I just don't know. So I'm not surprised if you saw something in Hopkins' house because it's
Well,
weird.
and she said there was a kid, hey?
Yeah, I've heard that too since then.
Yeah. But she brought in, now what did she say? She brought in somebody, a medium, uh, to talk to the kid. And supposedly that medium got the kid to move on because he was waiting for his mom or something.
Oh,
Is
huh.
the story. Yeah. But yeah,
Well,
supposedly there was a kid ghost up there. So maybe you
I
did see your ghost and you just don't believe it.
I've tried to make sense of it. Okay, maybe because I don't know the restaurant that well. Maybe the owners have kids and the kids are upstairs, and I just saw a kid playing on the stairs. I don't know, right? And maybe they
Yeah.
don't, and then I have no explanation. So I don't know.
Well, and it's funny because we do that logical thing, right? Like, did I really see what I saw? When you don't have it on camera or on something to help you replay it,
Yeah,
since usually just happens in a flash like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like I try to rationalize that. Maybe that was the evidence I've been looking for my entire life, but I wanted to rationalize it as something that makes sense to me because it otherwise kind
Yeah.
of doesn't.
Oh yeah, no, that's funny. So yeah, I guess how did COVID affect your travels? You wouldn't have been able to travel as much.
Well, when when I for my birthday that year, I was born in February. My girlfriend got me a trip to Utah because I really want to go to Utah, right?
Oh. Hmm.
And that's why I ended up down there. And when I was coming back, is when they started shutting stuff down.
Oh no.
I got back, I think it was March 2nd. And then on March 4th is when they said if you've come back from out of country, you got to quarantine for 2 weeks. And it's like even when I was coming back, I saw the signs for, wear a mask or if you're feeling sick, don't get on the plane. So like I had just gotten back when everything just shut down.
Oh,
Um,
lucky.
yeah, yeah, because otherwise I'd be probably stuck in Utah, which is fine, but Utah is kind of a weird state.
I
So
can't say I've ever been to Utah. So.
lovely people, but a lot of Mormon stuff down there. And
Yeah, that's true.
oh, I won't say anymore because then maybe there's Mormon listening. Mormons are great. I like Mormons and their religion. It's not odd at all. So, um, when COVID hit, of course, couldn't do my travel blog, right?
Right.
So I just tried to focus more on making videos, making local videos, so doing unboxings for local businesses, or then I did some for like Japanese candy boxes, just trying to bring in some kind of culture to
Yep.
to the content. We would also do road trips. So, like we took a trip out to like an old church just north of Regina. It was burned down back in the day. We took some down to Momart to go see the Eiffel Tower. We went to the Moose Jaw Zoo. I think we did that in 2020 or sometime around there. Um, just local stuff. And then in 21, in the fall of 21, I went up to Yukon for a week just to check it out
Oh,
because things were opened up in the fall, right?
yeah.
And Yukon had always kind of avoided the pandemic because they're so isolated.
Yeah.
Um, so then that was what I did pretty much. That was the only trip I took between February of 2020 and September of 21. That was the only thing I did. I just went to the Yukon in
Oh
September. So
wow.
a year, I'm almost 2 years pretty much of not doing too much, but that was okay, you know. Uh, there's not a whole lot to do anyway. So
Yeah, especially at that time. We wouldn't have missed much. Everything would have been closed anyway. So
yeah, exactly it. And people like who I know now they've gone to places like in the Maritimes or places and still stuff still closed. There's no one working, no one around. So there's not a whole lot of
yeah.
point of going anywhere because it's still all closed down.
And or the hours are really short and so you're
Yeah.
lucky if you get in. Yeah.
We so Dylan and me we had that podcast Unsolved Canadian Mysteries and we went to supposedly the most haunted cemetery in Saskatchewan a couple weeks ago just to film a little Halloween
Oh,
special. But I've been there 4 times and I never experienced anything, right? And he asked me, why is it haunted? I was like, I don't know. This is what they say. It was in Ghost Stories of Saskatchewan, Volume 3. They say it's the most haunted cemetery. I don't know why it's haunted, but the book says it's haunted. So like why? I don't know. Why do things why does stuff get haunted? I wish I
yeah.
knew the answer.
Isn't that the truth though? Yeah. You kind of
Yeah.
wonder. I mean, I guess if there was like a traumatic experience, you can understand it better. But
Mhm.
if there isn't that, but stuff's happening, you kind of go, well, why? And
Why?
who is it? And why are they here? Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy stories about that cemetery, like from everything from like spirits coming out of the tombstones to things crawling out of the
Really?
water. Oh yeah, crazy stories. And I'm like, but why?
Oh
Why
yeah.
why this cemetery in the middle of nowhere? So like we went there, we walked around, we just saw some things, like just the headstone stuff. But the only thing we picked up paranormal was like a gopher, well, that I know of anyway. Maybe Dylan got some other footage, but it was like this is great, but it was a long drive out here for
For a gopher.
for a gopher. We have those back in Regina, so but
Oh, that would be funny. Yes, I
supposedly
guess
it's supposed
I
to be
was,
haunted.
yeah. I was gonna ask how what got you into the podcast, I guess. That could be a question I should ask you.
Oh, so like I wanted since COVID, I wanted to do more stuff with people, like collaborations, podcasts, videos, anything, just to be like, I'm making content here, you're making content over there. Let's just put our content together and do that. Why not, right? We
Yeah.
don't have to be in silos. So like Dylan, he used to always do streaming channels, video game streaming channels, and I said, hey Dylan,
Oh,
we know each other for years. Why don't we do something? Why don't we make a podcast? And he already was doing like a Dino Boys podcast and a couple other podcasts and thought, oh, why not? We had the equipment, might as well sit down and do it. So that was our first like on location one. The rest are kind of in the studio, his basement, but that was the first one we did on location, and that was okay. But we've been doing that now just over a year. We just had a 1 year anniversary, I
oh
think
wow.
last. Yeah,
Well, that's cool. And
it's fun. It's fun. It's
yeah. Do you do any other have you done any other collaborations yet?
We
Or
did.
just
I did one with two camera guys a few months ago, maybe 8 months ago now, something like that. There's some photographers in the city. We kind of did some same thing here. We had like a
um
video.
yeah.
I've done some one with Shay Ruker. He was doing things kind of like about local influencers and that kind of thing.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I did one with Ryan Doka. Maybe I think during COVID we did one quick little thing together. We did like a bug eating thing before
Oh.
before he got into his jars and he became really. He's always been big and popular, but we did one like we ate scorpions together.
I can't say that would be a collaboration I'd be involved in.
Well, I was disappointed because I thought I was buying a box full of bugs, right?
Yeah.
But it was a box full of scorpions, and I'm like, oh,
Oh.
got one thing to eat here. Okay, I guess we'll make this work. But I was expecting like crickets and ants and
Oh yeah.
larvae and like a whole buffet. I'm like, oh, we just got the same thing 12 times. Okay.
Oh, no. A lot less fun. Unless
Yeah.
you want to just keep trying the same thing over and over again. Ugh, I
No.
don't know that I
No,
would.
you
So
eat
what would the
one.
scorpion taste like?
Um, so like so scorpions, they glow purple in black light, right? Or they glow green in
Oh,
black
okay.
light. So
Okay.
they're really cool in the dark. So you had to play with them first, of course, right?
Of course.
Of course. But when you actually eat them, so like the pincers are sharp and the thing in the tail, the stinger is sharp, right? So you can take
Yeah.
those off if you want. But otherwise, they're just crunchy. They're like a
Yeah.
crunchy, like a stick. but a salted stick. They're not tasty. I wouldn't
Oh,
recommend it.
yeah. I don't think I'll be trying one anytime soon anyway, but
Sorry.
no.
Sorry I didn't sell it, but they're not good.
Have you had many bugs before or just
Yes.
yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I guess what
So
you with your traveling maybe you would too.
yeah. But also during COVID, we were doing something. We were raising money for I think the Alan Blair Cancer Clinic or something like that. And I did like a live stream on Instagram where I just sat for I think 2 hours and ate bugs and joked around with people. One guy, he stayed the whole time with me. Everyone else just kind of dropped off. But it's okay, you and me, man, we got this. We're eating bugs for the next 2 hours. It's like my only, I don't know if it's even still there anymore. My only Instagram like TV thing is like an hour and a half
Eating
of
bugs.
me eating bugs.
So then do you have a favorite bug? I guess would be a good question.
Um, the easiest bug to eat, in my opinion, is crickets.
Oh,
You can put them in salad, you can put them on poutine, you can put them in a hamburger. They're fine. It's just like you can grind them up just like you would with ground beef and put them in anything.
yeah,
Um, Next up, ants, because ants are so small, right? You wouldn't even really
yeah,
know you're eating them.
true.
But they come in flavors. Some ants are more citrus flavored than other ones.
Really?
Yeah,
I never
which
would have
is
known that.
no, no. Uh, Scorpions want it. There was some other disgusting one. I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was a spider because I was happy I didn't get that, but it was some other disgusting insect that I think I ended it with or tried to end it with. But
Yeah,
no, crickets and ants. Those are the easy
and
ones.
answered like the top.
Yeah, crickets and ants. Those are the ones
Highly
you want to eat.
most recommended one
Yeah.
of everything. Oh God. No, I don't think I would. I don't know. I don't know that I would eat bugs, but I guess some places they're delicacies, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if I was in a location. All right. Well, I guess we can end it there, but it was fun.
Okay.
Thank you
It was
for
fun.
jumping on with me. I'm sure we will try to do something again at some point.
It was nice to meet you after all
Yeah,
this time.
officially, finally. Well, I guess
Yeah.
still not in person, but at least
Yeah.
we talked to each other face to face.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, no, it was good. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for
So,
having me on. I appreciate it.
yeah, for sure. I'm sure we will talk again soon. All right. So, thanks to Kenton for being on the spotlight tonight. It was super fun to get to talk about some of the local history, some of the more spookier places, and strange experiences that he's not convinced is hauntings, but you never know. I'm still not convinced that that child, up in Hopkins wasn't actually a ghost, but hard to say. If you like this video and you want to see more, or if you're interested in the Haunted Saskatchewan series, which usually comes out once a month as well, then make sure that you like the video and hit subscribe so that you'll be notified of my next video when it comes out. I try to do, like I said, one a month for the Haunted Saskatchewan and one a month for the Ghoul community, but it's all dependent on my schedule. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a great night. Until next time, my ghouls.